Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Donation with Gift of Hope. I'm your host, Olivia Fox, and this, of course, is another interactive session and conversation about organ and tissue donation in our community. We are also streaming live, as we are each week, at cantv.org/hotline, and you can call in and join our conversation at 312-738-1060. The number is right at the bottom of the screen if you forget. So I know a lot of you all have been hearing the commercials, and we're like, talk donation. What's that all about? What type of donation? Donation and charity? What are we talking about? In actuality, it's a little bit of both. It's education about organ and tissue donation, as well as charity to our fellow man, woman, and child. Each week, we will feature special guests from the donation community, and we will talk about topics and things going on throughout the donation community. And ultimately, we're going to be talking about what everyone needs to know about participating in this process. Ultimately, our sole purpose is to give you enough information to dispel the long-standing myths and misconceptions that run very deep throughout many communities. We want to help our viewers understand that Gift of Hope is a very honorable partner and trusted partner in the community. We recognize that minorities and many people have very valid fears of healthcare entities. And so through this show, we want to let you guys know that over the past 30 years, with advances in modern medicine, with amazing transplant physicians, hospitals, religious partners, Gift of Hope has really been able to help turn tragedy to triumph throughout many communities, while supporting donor families and those who are still waiting for a life-saving transplant. So welcome to the show. I'm so excited about our guests for the evening. And before we get into donation news, we're going to pause for our regularly scheduled commercial break.
Nikki's donation has made a huge impact on a lot of people. This one right here, sitting next to me especially. When Gift of Hope came to me and asked me for the donation, it made me feel very confident knowing that I can give my baby's heart. This is Nikki's heart beating inside Tanisha's chest.
So when I heard this pound, I'm like, what is that noise? And the nurse said to me, that's your heart.
I carried Nikki for 9 months. Now Tanisha's going to carry her the rest of her life.
Say yes to donation. Start the conversation with your loved ones today.
So welcome back to the show, and now it is time for donation news, and we're going to do something special this evening. We're going to show a little video that'll give you a little taste about who our guest is tonight. I'm so excited about who our guest is. It's somebody that I get to work with, somebody very important from the community. So let's take a quick look at this video here and hear a little bit about our guest for the evening.
Aurora, Illinois,
I'm all nervous as hell.
to Kansas City's Midwest Transplant Network. The table they arranged holds photos of their son Dylan. In 2007, the boy with the great grin was declared brain dead after a car crash. His parents were approached about donating his organs.
I actually got angry because it's the last thing you think about when you're when you're holding hope that your 7-year-old child is going to pull through.
But when they realized he wouldn't, they gave gifts of life. It's why Joe Vandola of Oberlin Park and his family are coming down the hall. When Joe learned he would receive the kidneys of a boy from Illinois, he initially said no.
No, can't do it. And I said, I've worked with kids all my life, I can't do it.
Joe has helped countless children through Shriners and Scottish Rite. Joe thought a child should receive the kidneys.
My son over there, the young doctor, said, Dad, it's karma.
9 years later, a meant-to-be moment. Two families meeting for the first time.
How are you? Oh, it's nice to see you in person.
They had exchanged some letters. Dan knew only Joe's first name and that he was a Shriner.
Every year or so, on a cold night or a winter night, I would go on the internet and see if I could find him.
This year, he did.
Joe spent his adult life helping children, and my child of all people helps him in return. I just think that's so powerful and awesome. I love it.
Joe's been able to continue his good deeds in good health.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I got Dylan. How can he be any better? We're family.
who will always remember and honor Dylan. His heart went to a girl in South Carolina, his liver to a young man from the United Arab Emirates. To find out how you can be a donor, go to fox4kc.com. Meryl Lynn McCain, Fox 4 News, working for you.
Welcome back to our show. Our special guest is Mr. Dan Richardson. Let me give you a hug, Dan, because you know what?
That video warms my heart.
It warms my
see it.
heart. The video warms my heart. You are one of my favorite people to see and to work with at Gift of
thank you.
Hope,
Thank you.
and I'm so excited to have you here. So welcome, Dan Richardson.
Thank you.
Let's start off the evening by talking about.
County Commissioners and the Clinton County.
We saw the video, but tell us a little bit about your connection to donation.
Well, this is my son Dylan, and unfortunately he was in a car accident in July of '07 and took the brunt of the impact and had suffered a severe head injury. And about 40 hours later, after the accident, he was pronounced brain dead.
Wow.
And that's when we were asked if we wanted to donate his organs,
Okay.
and we said yes.
Okay. So there's your connection to donation. So we have Dan here. He's a donor dad. His son Dylan, who is here, who is always in my notebook. I know a lot of people at Gift of Hope carry this around because, I mean, you know, we hear stories about donation, but there are those certain stories and certain families that really touch you, and the stories that you tell all the time. And Dylan's story is definitely one that we tell throughout Gift of Hope and throughout the communities about how this young man was able to leave a legacy. So we're so, you know, we don't love the circumstances, but I'm so grateful to be connected with you.
Thank you.
And that you're out here doing this work.
Well, he's so cute, for one.
He's adorable.
And
How could you not want to look at this face?
Right, and the story is special, you know, with who he saved. You know, he saved Joe, the Shriner, who spent, like I said, his adult life working with children, and Dylan, my child of all people, helps him in return. It is pretty cool.
And that was interesting what he said, that at first he didn't want to take the donation, but
No.
his son reminded him that this is karma coming back to you. You've helped so many children. Now this is a child's turn to help you. And so that part really caught my attention and really moved me to hear that.
Yeah, when I talk about Dylan and I tell people that, it's very powerful. It's very powerful to use that in the story. And Dylan, you know, it's kind of a unique and special situation. It's really cool.
Yeah. And you know what, that's interesting too that you say it definitely is a unique situation, because people hear stories of death all the time, but only certain situations, only certain cases are those that can end up leading to donation and leading to someone being able to leave that type of legacy. Only about 8% of death leads to any type of organ and tissue donation. So that's a very important fact that you bring up, that this is a special case, and any case of donation is a very special case in which that person is able to leave that type of legacy. So, you know, you've been doing this longer than I have. You've been a volunteer with Gift of Hope longer than I have been around here. So can you tell me a little bit about how you first got involved with maybe telling your story and then becoming a volunteer with the organization?
Yeah, and I've been volunteering for Gift of Hope, or an ambassador, for 10 years. It was shortly after Dylan passed that we, as a family, wanted to give back. To Gift of Hope and Melissa, who was the donation coordinator at the time, were there every minute of the time, but the whole period of time Dylan was in the hospital. And it was amazing in that how present they were for us. And we wanted to give back. We wanted to give back to not only Dylan's school, but back to Gift of Hope for being there for us. And being for us in such a scary moment, because you're
The worst time of your life.
Yeah, you're dumped into chaos and shock, and then Gift of Hope is there to hold your hand and guide you where you need to go, and they were there for us, so we wanted to give back. And with that, we gave some money. Part of Dylan's estate, we gave a little bit of money to Gift of Hope, and went to the office and met with the then CEO and a few people, And based on that meeting, Melissa thought it might be a good idea for me to get involved with the ambassador part of it and the donor family council at the time. And we thought about it. We came in and we talked about it and thought, sure, why not? I'll give it a shot.
And so you all got out there and you started making a difference in the community.
Yeah.
And the things that you all were doing really built a structure for even how we outreach now. So it's so important that, we talk about every week on the show that a part of this is people sharing their story, whether they're on the donor family side or the recipient side. It's hard for people to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's hard to have to think about this worst time in your life and to have to recount it time and time again, but that is what makes the difference, and that is what helps this process and helps more people to understand that participating in this process is very important.
Yeah, it is difficult, but what I like to particularly do is I like to go to the hospitals and show and teach the people that work in the hospitals what the outcome is, because they don't often see what happens on the other side. They see what happens in the hospital, but they don't hear the feel-good stories that happen afterwards. And by telling them, I hope that Dylan and his smiling face provides them some kind of courage to do their jobs every day, because I can't imagine.
That is so true. And you know what? That is something that Gift of Hope does, and we talk about the Gift of Hope is responsible for the public and professional education about organ and tissue donation. So not only in the community and not only our neighbors and family members do we have to talk to about this topic, but like you said, we have to be in those hospitals. People have to not only share those stories in the community, but in those hospitals with the people that are hands-on every day, seeing these stories happen and dealing with families and working with families through these difficult times in their lives. So would you say that might be one of the standout things that you participate in?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do is to go to the hospitals and speak. And that was one of the first things I did. I actually went back 2 times to Lutheran General where Dylan passed and talked to the group. And then I spoke twice in one day. The first was just speaking about just his story. And then the second round of speech, the head of one department actually gathered up the people that they got Dylan's organs, or actually were in the operating room when Dylan was donating, and brought them in and let them hear me speak, and I got to meet those people.
Wow.
And I was always concerned about, did they take care of him after after elevator's door closed and I had to say goodbye to him? I was worried, did they take care of him?
And so did you feel that you got that during
After talking to those folks, I was assured that they took care of him. Nowadays they have the prayer or the saying or the walk down the aisle, where the people line the hallways.
I've seen
they didn't have that 11 years ago, but I remember that walk like it was yesterday. And when the doors closed and had to say goodbye, and then meeting those folks that actually took care of Dylan, that was a really special moment for me.
Wow.
It meant a lot.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and that is important, and one of the reasons why we do try to incorporate more things like what you mentioned during that time when a family does have to, say that last goodbye before their loved one becomes a donor. So that I'm glad you shared that. That's so important. So let's talk a little bit about this chapter that you have built, this chapter of ambassadors that help you carry Dylan's legacy on and carry the legacy of others on. Tell us a little bit about the West Suburban chapter of Gift of Hope Ambassadors.
Okay, well, Gift of Hope is in Itasca.
Yep.
And Itasca is not convenient for everyone to get to.
It's not.
The ambassador group, or the ambassador program, started satellite offices. You have the South Suburban chapter, you have the West Suburban chapter, and I think there's one in Elgin, and then I think there's going to be a Northwest one. But basically,
there's one in Chicago. There's one in Peoria. So we're trying to expand all around our service area.
I think it's essentially bringing Itasca office to the suburbs and get an opportunity for the local people to meet in a convenient spot to talk about donation, fellowship, and then also talk about opportunities to spread the word about donation and tell our stories.
Yep. That's it. So this chapter's been around since you said
We
about
just
May.
started in May, so we've only had 5 meetings, so we're kind of a little bit still in the baby stage.
You guys are babies,
compared to your mom.
but you guys have done some amazing things so far. I know the summer is one of our really busy times with outreach, and so tell us about some of the kind of signature events that this chapter has done so far. I mean, I know it's only been a couple, but I know there are great things coming up. So what have you done?
Yeah, we've learned a bit with our first big event was the corn boil out in Sugar Grove.
I remember that
which
one.
was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and good turnout. And we spent there, I think Saturday and Sunday, but it was a good turnout. A lot of people. We had Gift of Hope on the volunteer shirts.
And you guys were able to rotate and do shifts.
Yep.
And, yep.
Ullman was there, of course, and he pushed me. He kind of helped push us out in the crowd.
Perfect.
Gave us some pointers. Don't sit behind the table. You know, go out and meet the people, which we did. And then we did Naperville Last Fling.
Okay.
My wife and I were out of town, so we couldn't help with that, but that went well, aside from the weather problems that they had. And we have a couple rock stars on in our group that are developing meetings or opportunities on their own. So slowly but surely, we're going to get more and more people, we're going to get more and more opportunities, and we're going to make a difference in the West Suburban, which I don't think up until now was very well represented.
That's amazing, and that is exactly our goal with these ambassador groups, is to kind of give our ambassadors some control and some leadership opportunity. I mean, you guys work so hard, and it's important that you guys have these leadership opportunities and the resources that you need to go out and outreach within your own communities. And like you said, you guys identify different opportunities within, churches and the communities, with schools. I know you guys speak at schools, sometimes high schools and things like that. So there's such a wide range of things that people can do, and there's also something for everyone too. I think that that's something that we want people to know, is that there is definitely something for everyone.
Yes, and we're learning that. So we're learning that. Every meeting we come to, every meeting we have, there's like these aha moments where you're going, oh yeah, we could have a meeting there, or we could have a meeting there, or we could do something here, we could do something there, and we're developing that.
And so, what would you say? Who makes up the group of the ambassadors out there?
We have donor families. We have donor recipients. We have a couple people we have one person that's waiting.
Okay.
We have a living donor. That's one of our rock stars, actually, Steve Vercow.
Okay.
You know Steve Vercow.
Yeah, I've heard
That's
his
not
name.
Steve, but the girl that gave him his kidney is part of my group, or part of our group.
Oh.
So, and she's Alex, and she's been amazing so far.
Wow, I haven't gotten to meet Alex yet.
Yeah, and hopefully you will, because she's amazing, and it's kind of how small the small world is too. Because Steve, everybody knows Steve, and he's wonderful.
Right.
And she's part of the group. So we have an array of basically all types of donation relationships in the group.
And so, you also brought up another important part about this group, because it's not just about outreach, but it really is about that fellowship and being in a place, in a group, a space with people that understand, that have been on a similar path as you have, or have participated in some part of this process, or can show you the other side of it, the recipient side of it, the people that are living on because of these gifts. So it's nice to know that, we do work and we outreach and we're out at events all the time, but it's about sharing our stories with each other and really being that network for each other to be able to lean on and reach out, because like I said several times throughout this show, I feel like we are so connected, and we don't talk every day by any means, but that connection is there
Yes.
from doing this outreach and fellowship together. So I think that that's very important. And for anybody that wants to join this type of outreach effort, again, Dan mentioned several of the chapters, but his chapter that he's the director of actually has a meeting coming up tomorrow. So I'm not sure we can see
In
that,
West
but can you
Aurora.
read it out to us, the date, the time, location?
It's tomorrow. It's 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. in West Aurora. It's actually in the West Aurora Plaza, if anybody's familiar with it. But the address is 1921 West Galena Boulevard, and it's right between the dollar store and a barber shop, and it's next to a doctor's office. But it's actually in the Aurora Councilman's office. It's Carl Franco's 5th Ward office that he lets us have for free every month until whenever.
And see, you know what? That's even a way that he's helping us with our outreach by providing that resource. So if you want to get involved in any way possible, please, if you live in the Aurora or West Suburban area, please check out this meeting tomorrow. If you don't live in that area and you are interested in finding out about some of our other chapters and other meetings, can't make it out to Aurora, you can check out our website, giftofhope.org. You can go to the Get Involved tab, and you will find all your information there. If you want to reach out to me specifically or directly, you can find me at Fox@giftofhope.org. If you want to ask specific questions about a chapter or a chapter meeting, or if there's outreach in your area, or even if you want to facilitate some outreach in your area, feel free to reach out to me at ofox@giftofhope.org. So I'm so grateful to Dan for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful for the work that you do with us and for telling your story as much as you do. You are strong. You are brave. I really look up to you and all of your outreach that you do with this. And my final question for you is, what is one thing you would leave with the donor family that is going through what you went through 10 years ago? That is dealing with the worst time in their life and their loved one is going to become a donor, or if they're still deciding if that's something that they want to do. What's one thing that you would leave?
Well, there's always the miss, but it's tough. It's tough. Back when Dylan was in his accident, and when we were first approached, about possibly donating Dylan's organs, I first said no. And the reason I said no, it wasn't because our family didn't believe in organ donation. It was because in order for me to say no, I had to accept the fact that Dylan wasn't coming home. That was the hard part. But once we realized Dylan wasn't coming home, then the decision to donate his organs was easy because we know it was the right thing to do. Had the doctors and nurses not been educated in donation and the opportunity didn't come up, Dylan would have just died. But instead, he saved 3 people, and that makes me so proud of him. And I'm still proud of him because I get to share him. Like today, I get to share my son, and that makes me very happy that even 10, 11 years later, he still lives on, and he continues to save lives through his powerful story. And I wouldn't want what happened to Dylan and my family to happen to anyone, but I want people to know that if some things were to happen, and I'm proof that things do happen, that organ and tissue donation may be an option.
Thank you so much for your time, Dan, and thank you for, I had to get a new Dylan card because my other one was in my notebook, and that one ran out of pages, so I got a new one. So I'm so glad to have my Dylan card in my new notebook. We will continue to do this work and to share his story and to honor his legacy and do whatever we can to, help in this outreach. So thank you for being my guest tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm so excited that we were
Appreciate
able to talk about the West Suburban chapter of Ambassadors. If you're interested in getting involved, come on over to the meeting. Reach out to us at giftofhope.org if you have any other questions. And just as we ask each week, please consider being an organ donor. Please say yes next time you go to the DMV. And if you already renewed your license and didn't say yes, go on over to giftofhope.org. It'll take you 30 seconds to register. It's the best gift you can leave your family.
Yep.
Thank you.
Agree.
Good night, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you.